Welcome to Big Blend Radio with travel writer Linda Kissam, the food, wine, and shopping diva. So welcome everyone. Today we are going to be talking about end of summer's finest flavors. Linda Kissam, the diva of food, wine, and shopping, is back on the show. Of course, it's her show, and it airs the first Saturday, and of course, it is August 1st, so she owns the month, and it is a very important month. August is super important, just saying. And but anyway, she's got a great article talking about all these wonderful fresh fruits that you can get, and also all these spicy treasures and also dried treasures from Melissa's Produce. So we also have Robert Schueller back on the show. But first, Eva Linda, how are you?
Good. Thank you very much. This is really going to be an interesting show because it's going to talk about late summer goodies. We often talk about spring and fall and winter and so forth, but late summer is when the big bounty comes and all the good stuff is ready, and you're going to get ready for your barbecues, and kids are going back to school. That's late summer. I remember we didn't go until early fall, but I guess things have changed. So anyway, this is going to be a great show. You're going to love it. You're going to love the new stuff we're going to talk about. Robert brought us some new stuff and all delicious. I'll tell you that. And I'm going to tell you when my favorites come up. So there you go.
Oh, she's all excited, Robert. I am too, because you said passion fruit again, and I learned a new trick of passion fruit. Now, last time we talked on the show, I grew up as a kid in Kenya, South Africa. This was growing naturally on the vine. And so as a kid, you're just popping things open and, of course, being dirty. Well, I learned something today. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know Jay Shetty. He's like a motivational speaker, podcaster, right? His wife is a wonderful chef and also has her own podcast. And she does all these really clean and healthy recipes. And she showed a new way of opening a passion fruit. You get a big straw. Like, a lot of us have glass straws or metal straws. You take that sucker, and as you know, you want to wait for the passion fruit to be all wrinkly, right? Where you think you shouldn't even try to eat it, but the worse, the better, right? She just stabs it right in there and sucks up those passion fruit seeds, all in one big, like, yummy, delicious goodness thing. So that's my new way of slurping the passion fruit.
Try that.
Yeah.
Passion fruit has been a trending fruit here in the United States. The season every year continues to almost be available on a year-round basis. Right now, we are in the Florida and California season, so we are in the domestic season. And then about 5-6 months out of the year in the opposite season, come winter, early spring, we get it from New Zealand. But this has been a fruit that the chefs have always enjoyed putting onto the menu because it has that tart and sweetness to it. And you're right, Lisa, you have to wait until it wrinkles up like a prune. So just a few days out on your counter, you'll notice the round purple, about the size of a racquetball, skin will start to kind of dry up. And that is a good thing because then the sugars come out. And the fruit is really light. A little bit goes a long way, but I've never tried that. I'm going to try that when it gets nice and wrinkly the next time and put a straw in it. It is a concentrated fruit. I just take a steak knife, a serrated knife, cut it in half because it has a leathery skin and scoop out the seeds. But yeah.
I can't even wait for this spoon, Robert. I'm disgusting. Okay, I'm just going to say, but there's this thing about food that it becomes a sense memory. And so for me, I feel about 40 years younger every time I eat a passion fruit because it takes me back to my childhood. So I think I'll just keep eating those and never have to go back to work again. But speaking of that too, that's like a child kind of sense memory. Can you tell us about the grapes? Because you sent these beautiful, just angelic champagne grapes that I feel like I want to eat them with something really lightly. It belongs like an English tea kind of situation or a really high-end charcuterie board. The Moscatos are sweet, but then these jelly drops. I'm thinking, look, where's my peanut butter snacks? There they are, my peanut butter clean snacks and some jelly dropped grapes. And I've got my PB&J all healthy and delicious.
Yeah, Lisa and Linda, the summer months, grapes is at the peak of the season during the months of July, August, and early September. Everything really much growing domestically. out of California, out of the Central Valley, and we get some very spectacular varieties. The smallest of all varieties, the grapes are about the size of your pinky fingernail, and those are the champagne grapes. No, they're not the grapes that make champagne. They look like them. That's why they're called that. And they're super sweet. They're a deep purple, almost black in color. And the kids like to eat them one at a time. They're really small grapes, almost like caviar size, maybe just a little bit bigger. But there's an art to actually eat them. The way you eat champagne grapes is you pull off a little branch of them. There's just branches and branches contained within the center branch. You take off a little branch of grapes and you actually hold on to the stem, put the grapes into your mouth. There's probably, in a little bundle, there's probably about 10 to 20. And you just pull, after you put it in your mouth, you pull it out of your mouth with your mouth closed, and all the little grapes stay in your mouth, and all you pull out is the stem. And that is how you are supposed to eat champagne grapes.
That's very delicate. It's more delicate than my straw and the sucking up the passion fruit seeds. But Diva Linda, what was it for you with these grapes? Did you have oh my moment?
Well, I've had them before and I love them, but they are almost like you see a lot of them on very elegant trays and so forth, because they're just beautiful to look at and they're such a great taste. But Robert's right. The way you eat these things is you put them in your mouth and pull out the stem. It's a wonderful experience. And that's pretty much why you see them stay on the beautiful plates and stuff, because you're in a beautiful gown or a very nice dress or pantsuit or whatever, and a couple of them escape. It's not a pretty sight. I could just tell you that, but the experience is wonderful. The taste is wonderful. We have fruit with dinner every night, and I'm going to start incorporating this back into our fruit that we eat, because it's fun to eat at home alone, and it's amongst friends who are doing the same thing. So it's not bad. But God, the taste is unbelievable.
Well, Linda, here's the thing. Take them. Everybody must have champagne. Take them, dip them in the champagne first, and then everyone's doing it, and it's bubbles for all. There you go.
Somebody generally has to lead off doing the mouth thing, but it is such a pleasure. Really, it's an experience. Wouldn't you say, Robert? It's like an experience doing that, because that's about the only fruit that I know of that you put in your mouth and pull the stem out. I mean, it's just wonderful. Are those grapes more expensive than the other ones?
They're a little bit more pricier. That's because your economics at work. They're only available for less than 2 months. Pretty much half of July, most of August, and then maybe into September until about Labor Day. And then they'll disappear until next year. So one, they're harder to find. Two, they're very delicate as well, and the season's short, so take advantage of it. And then Lisa also brought up about another variety that's really special, and those are the ones that are called jelly drops. The jelly drops are a variety that has a different flavor. They're sweet, but they have more of a Concord grape flavor profile. But the neat thing about the jelly drops is, unlike Concord grapes have a thick skin you can't eat, and they have like 2 to 3 really hard seeds in the middle. So it's not as elegant because you have to spit out the seeds when you're enjoying those Concord grapes you may grow in your backyard. However, the jelly drops, they're available just over 2 months as well, July, August, and maybe a little bit into September. They're probably one of the sweetest ones. It almost reminds me of Concord grape jelly, and they're delicious. And you don't have to skin them, and you don't have to worry about the seed. And again, grown out of California, it's a very short season, and just one of those grapes that are just a little bit different than your typical red and green grape that you see among the displays of all the grapes that you find in your local produce department.
I'm playing with my melon. Okay, so Robert, did you open yours, Linda? I didn't know if mine was ripe yet. And this is the Waterloupe melon. This is new, and I can't wait. We're both like, when do you open this? Should I just open it?
Mine.
You'll be fine by now. Sampled to you last week. So, Just like when you go into your local produce department, you're going to see a lot of grapes, but you're also going to see a lot of different varieties of melons. And it's a little bit more confusing because you're inundated with all these different varieties. You can clearly see a difference between what a watermelon is and what and a different type of melon, but there's all these different varieties of melon. Most people are only familiar with like cantaloupe and honeydew.
Mm.
However, the one you have in your hand there, Lisa, and I know Linda got a sample as well, is called a waterloupe. Okay. So it looks like a cantaloupe on the outside. When you cut it open, it is orange on the inside, like a cantaloupe. So it is a melon, it is a muskmelon variety. However, there's something really unique about these waterloupes, hence the name. It has the texture just like a watermelon, hence the name Waterloupe Melons, brought to you by Melissa's. And so the ability for this melon to have the texture of watermelon is pretty unique. And like most melons, when you buy them at the store, you keep them on your counter until they ripen up. Typically, it kind of gives an aroma of a melon, and that's when you know it's ripe and ready to go. Sometimes, I like to chill them, put them in the fridge for about a day, and enjoy them the next day. But if you really want your melons to ripen up, whether this is like a cantaloupe, like this type of melon or watermelon, always keep them out on the counter for a while for the aroma to give you an idea that they're ripe and ready to go.
All
They
right.
are
So then
wonderful.
I was
The
going to ask,
taste
did you
is
like them?
so
Yeah.
unique. I can imagine serving this at a brunch or breakfast and not telling anybody what they're getting. And because it's just such a surprise, isn't it, Robert? It just it sort of cuts like sort of like a kind of like a watermelon, but more like a cantaloupe. It's very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
It,
right.
it,
Yeah.
it has
And
it has the ability to have a similar in texture, like a watermelon, but is more relatable because, everybody's had a good tasting cantaloupe. And, right now during the melon season, you can't go wrong basically in your local produce department. However, these waterloupes are a little bit more sweeter, kind of like those Sharon melons that are hard to find and really delicious, like a really sweet orange flesh honeydew as well, which are some of my favorites there. But there's something special about this Waterloupe. And the cool thing is even though this is the third season we had them, because of the popularity over the last few years, we've now been able to extend the season from June all the way until September. So look for them in your local produce department.
Speaking of that, I would like to give a big shout out to the Ingalls Markets of North Carolina for having Melissa's in there. Because, everywhere I go, as we travel the country, it's like, oh no, if they don't have it, one must speak up. One must speak up. And when they do have it, one must speak up in a happy way. And so where we are, we have them. And where we're going next, Publix in Georgia. Well done. Just saying.
yes,
So I've got to give do you do that, Linda, when you go back and forth between Arizona and Washington?
absolutely. And both carry Melissa products. And if I see something that I want that they don't have, but they have Melissa's products, I ask, well, where's that? And beets. They have pre-prepared beets, which
Mhm.
Alan loves. And sometimes I'll be out and I'll go, or I won't see them. And, where are they? Oh, somebody
Panic.
came and took them all. I go, oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's true because you go in. I always know from if Melissa's there's if the potatoes are there, then I know. All right, we're safe.
we're good. We're
We're in a
good.
good store. And then sometimes you'll see dragon fruit when you walk into a produce department, and I go, I know Melissa's is here. I'm talking to myself through the grocery store, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
like I'm going, where's Melissa's? Seek and thou shalt find. But
Clean
yeah, so
snacks are usually
yeah.
there as well, which is
Hmm.
nice. You have sort of, each produce department has somebody that's in charge, and I never have figured out how they do, how they stack these stuff and what gets up and what gets down and who's first. I don't know. I guess it's just whatever the produce person wants or whatever is selling best. But those clean snacks, right now they have chocolate. And is that I just missed it.
Yes.
Chocolate new?
Yeah, you're talking about our clean snacks. We have about a dozen different varieties of clean snacks now.
Yes.
They're what looks like granola, little bites, like sugar cube bite size, but they're really it's a nut base, flaxseed. They're gluten free. Our most popular is almond, but we do the clean snacks also in like coconut, dried cranberry, but you're right. We now do, Melissa's does two newer varieties, and we do a chocolate flavored and a peanut butter flavored clean snack. So
I love
look
the
for
peanut
them in
butter.
the produce department near you, right where the juices are. And typically in the snack item, where you find some of the dried fruits like dates or dried figs, stuff like that, dried cranberries that Melissa's is really known for. You'll find them as well. There you go. Those are our classic organic figs and dates. We're talking about items that actually work well on a fruit board or fruit platter, charcuterie board, cheese, meats, the grapes, the melons, the clean snacks. Yeah. We're just building
Wait,
a charcuterie board here, aren't we?
I
Oh,
want to go
those
to
are,
we need to
oh,
go to these because Diva Linda in her article talked about these back to school snacks too. Like, so the clean snacks are great for them. These are, I think, awesome to throw in a backpack, right? These wonderful crepes, these I love these for road trips. These are so good when you're traveling long distance. Really.
Yes. So what looks like in a package that looks like a fruit, I might be dating myself. They called them fruit roll-ups back in the day.
Yeah.
I think now they call them like fruit leathers. I mentioned where you find the Melissa's clean snacks, you'll find the Melissa's crepe snacks. So the crepe snacks are, it's a thin French pastry. And in the middle of these crepe snacks are different flavors. We have mango, we have pineapple, we have papaya, and banana. So using Melissa's fruit combined with our popular crepes, which is usually something you would find next to the strawberries, we made a something that not only the kids can enjoy in their lunches, but adults can enjoy as a alternative to a big, bowl of ice cream or, cheesecake. Nothing's wrong with those, all in moderation. But Melissa just tries to put out really healthy or healthier snacks using Melissa's produce in there.
I love those snacks. Diva Linda, you also talked about mission figs and the medjool dates. These dried delights. There we go.
they're wonderful. And they are a really good substitute when you're looking for something that has a lot of sugar in it. You can switch over to this because it has a big burst of flavor, but not the calories. They're quite good. The texture is nice. Keep them out on for us, keep them out on the sink so that when somebody's looking for cookies, this can be a better alternative. The little snacks we just had on are wonderful as well. That's a great alternative to a cookie and so forth. But if you like dates and figs and you don't get them very often or whatever, look for the Melissa's brand. They're usually there, and everything you do is so well packaged, and I think they really make an effort to pick the right fruit and put it in the package. So sometimes, we know somebody's picking stuff like strawberries and blueberries, and half of them you have to throw away because they weren't intentionally put in the good stuff. They didn't make sure that they were all the same ripeness and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate that, Robert. I think you guys do a lot of intentional packing and so forth. And figs and dates are one of those that they get icky if you don't do it correctly. The packaging is one of it, but they're good. I like them. Alan loves them. And, just a great snack, especially when you're out boating and you're rocking this way and that way. And, you can hold on to these things, and if they fall, they don't hit you in the foot. So it's all good.
Oh, there you go. It's food snacks for boaters. Well, the other thing too is that, well, they're healthy. Like they say that medjool dates, they're the royal medjool dates are really, really healthy for us. They're better than they're like nature's candy bars, is what people always say. So I recommend recommend these with cheese and jalapenos and spice. See, I love this. We're doing this sweet and spice today. This is my favorite thing. So the mission figs and the dates, would you put on a charcuterie board, Diva Linda? Because I think they
Oh,
would go
sure.
really well.
With those champagne grapes? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I think you could be even more creative on a charcuterie thing than you've been lately. You know, if you put some of those snack things on there as well, they complement a lot of stuff. They have a great texture to them. These have a great, I mean, if you do a texture board, these would be wonderful as well as the clean snacks and so forth. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a really good idea. And it would be unexpected, which would be even better.
Yeah, Robert, what about these? Let's get into the hatch. Ooh, the trail mix, right? I would actually put this on a charcuterie board, even though it's spicy and everything. I think sometimes in wine we like to have a little spice on the side, and some wines are spicy. They
No,
have pepper on the back end.
definitely. In terms of dried fruit on a charcuterie board, dried figs is probably the most popular. Dates as well. And on social media right now, they're doing a lot of the dried dates on the charcuterie board with a little bit of peanut butter on top. But the cool thing about dates is that a lot of people are starting to use dates as a sugar substitute. So you can, like, after it's pitted, you could drop in a Melissa's dried date if you're doing like a banana shake, where you're not using a lot of sweet
Ah,
fruit and you want to sweeten it up without actually putting sugar in it. Date is a great alternative there. But getting over to spice. Spice has been a new level of what they're putting on charcuterie boards. Spiced nuts of different sorts. Yes, trail mix as well. And you hint upon one of the biggest seasons that Melissa looks forward to every year, and that is the annual, coming from Hatch, New Mexico, the annual Hatch chili peppers. And all the Melissa's products, which we call Hatch Essentials, that incorporate the Hatch chili within the different snacks. So, trail mix is a great one. Talking about spicy in charcuterie boards as well, incorporation of like hot honey is another
Mhm.
spicy ingredient with crackers and cheese. These things are all just building the charcuterie board plate, which are very much popular at most dinner parties and events now. It's almost like a standard to having a fruit and vegetable plate with meats and cheeses and stuff like that. So I've seen in terms of the charcuterie board now getting more into spicy because typical like spicy like pepperoni and meats and spicy cheeses. Yes, trail mixes and spiced nuts. These are really popular now.
Thank God it took time for people to get this together. We got hatch season. I'm like, come on, I want some spice in there. I mean, a really good wine that could stand up to a spicy cheese, and then you have a date to balance it all out. I mean, you can stuff those dates with all kinds of good things, and that's the fun thing. Cream cheese and a jalapeno. Come on, a little green chilies from Hatch, New Mexico. Listen, these are all new, right? Or not? Or is it just my first time having the actual ground seasonings?
Those are part of our hash essentials. We've had them around for a while. That's just new labeling. We actually do three different types. So we do a red hatch dried seasoning, a green hatch dried seasoning. See, the difference between the green spice and the red spice is that the chili is dried before it over ripens. So understand chilies a green chili that stays on the vine will eventually turn red, and that is when it's fully mature. When it's red, it's softer, it's sweeter, and a little bit hotter. When it's green, when, like, for example, most hatch chilies are picked green because that is the stage in which you want to get them roasted. So with that, this week is the start of the annual hatch chilies from Hatch, New Mexico. If you go to melissas.com, the first thing you'll see on our site is all about the roastings that we will have in hundreds of stores across the United States, not just in New Mexico and Texas, which is an everyday thing. Melissa brought the Hatch chili fresh and these essential products like the powders for all of the United States to enjoy. So if you do it right, you're going to be able to go to our site and find a local store that not carries hatch chilies, but also will host a hatch chili roasting because you got to understand, Lisa and Linda, people buy hatch chilies by the case. So
Oh,
the seasonings are just a part of the different products that we offer during the hatch chili season.
very cool. So you'll do roastings and all of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, this will be our almost 20th year of doing the hatch. I mean, the hatch chili has been up until about 15 years ago. It really was just a Southwest thing. And, it was something that people in the Southwest love to do. In fact, if you didn't know, ladies, the Hatch Chili Festival, which is every Labor Day weekend as we get towards the end of the season, is the biggest food festival for one single item, that being the Hatch, New Mexico. And if you probably, maybe you've heard, if you've never heard of Hatch, New Mexico, it's in the middle of nowhere.
I just went there. It's cool. No, people need to go for road tripping. It is like iconic. It's right off Route 66. So everyone that, it's Route 66 Centennial, you're road tripping. This is a place to pull over. They have all kinds of those roadside attractions like aliens and big chilies and ristras hanging from places and like the
Yeah.
old diner. And it's really not I think it's like, do they have one stoplight? Maybe. It's tiny, but it's one of those things you've got to go to. And Hatch chilies, the only way I knew about them is, we lived in the Southwest, but every time I made chili, I was like, no, it was like Hatch chili, green chilies. And it was the only one that went with what I was creating that just other green chilies weren't the same. I don't know what it is, but I just always went Hatch and I didn't know it was a place yet, even though we lived there. And then later I did find out and finally got there.
I have a suggestion for people who have not tried hatch chilies in any shape or form, or have not figured out that what you can do with these spices and powders. Melissa's makes 3, maybe there may be more, but popcorn
Yes.
flavored hatch chili things. Now okay. Now I got to tell you, I'm sorry. I got to tell you that is my favorite new snack. I had no idea how good they were going to be. The one I really, really love, which is interesting, it was the caramel corn. Is that right? Caramel corn and
We do a kettle corn, which is the
kettle corn.
sweet one. We do a cheddar, and we do the traditional hatch popcorn. They're limited edition. We only offer them during the months of July, August, and early September until we're sold out. We sell truckloads of these. We reformulated this year of the 3 hatch popcorn. Instead of using regular vegetable oil, we decided to go with all clean ingredients. And so we actually use an avocado oil, making it a clean bag ingredient that you can now find in the natural food retailers that are carrying them as well. So look for these hatch popcorns. I know, Linda, it's now your favorite.
They're awesome. I mean, I'm terrible about all your popcorns because they're light and you feel like you're not really snacking.
Right.
And you're like, it's popcorn. It's okay.
You can find out on these popcorn things, the taste, the lighter end of the taste of these seasonings. And what an interesting thing to bring as a hostess gift, or if you're in charge.
It goes with a charcuterie board. Come on now.
Yeah, I would agree because they're not overdone. They're not like Fritos or Cheetos that get on your fingers and all over your face and so forth. It really, 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 really good.
I think there are recipes with popcorn, like soup. Some chefs do like the top part would be like you crunch up the popcorn and put it on the top of a soup. And the other thing about your popcorns that, a lot of times you make popcorn, you get the hard kernels in there. There's so few of them. You know what I mean? It's a normal thing to have, but with your popcorn, it's more popcorn than it's just the same thing you're talking about with the packaging, Linda. It's quality.
Intentional quality, intentional packing.
Yeah.
The two go together. And I'm sorry to hear it's not year round. Now I have to go to the store quickly. Oh, because it's really, really good.
Look,
really.
these Listen,
The
these are new for me.
hot sauces, correct.
Oh,
Do them in both red and green now.
but the polenta, can you tell people about how awesome polenta is for so many things? We like to slice it up and fry it with bacon or sausage for breakfast. It's very
Yeah.
healthy.
That's interesting.
So Melissa's is, we polenta is a corn base. It's a polenta is I call it the Italian like masa mix, like you would make for tamales, and it's actually an Italian and a cuisine that's very popular. And we extended our line of our polenta line because we do several in the produce departments across the country with the hatch one. This is actually the fifth year doing that, and this is an extension of our what we call Hatch Chili Pepper Essentials. In fact, if you go to melissas.com, look for something called the Hatch Pepper Sampler. If you're learning about Hatch chilies or already know about Hatch chilies, we have this Hatch Pepper Sampler and this Hatch at Home box that you can send to yourself or to your friend anywhere in the United States and get all these different types of Hatch essential products, the popcorns, the polenta, clean snacks, the powders, the salsas. We do about 25 different items that include Hatch products there. And the thing is about these Hatch New Mexico chilies, it's not about the heat. It's not. You don't have to be a chili head to enjoy. The Hatch chilies come in mild, kid friendly, medium, hot, and extra hot. So people who like the heat level of a Serrano, that's about as hot as a Hatch chili can get. These are chilies that are about 6 to 8 inches long. They're green. And what makes them so special is that they're super thick. So when you get them roasted, you can actually roast them when it's nice char and then put them into a Ziploc freezer bag. They're the only chili that can stay in the freezer for up to 2 years. No other chili is thick enough to even be able to not fall apart in a freezer for more than 6 months. But the chilies, because of the way they're grown and the temperature that changes from day to night, makes these chilies super thick. So when people buy them, they buy them by the case because of the short window of 6 to 8 weeks. They buy them by the case, get them roasted, put them in the bag, and then every special event that you have, you know, somebody's birthday or a big game is coming up, you get out the package of frozen Hatch chilies, and that's how you're able to enjoy Hatch chilies throughout the rest of the year. So it's a matter of cleaning out all those ice cream containers from your freezer so you can fit and put in your roasted Hatch chilies into the freezer to enjoy them the rest of the year. And the key is roasting up enough and keeping them into your freezer until the next year.
I like this. I like this. You remember those other peppers we talked about last time you were on the show, Robert? Shishito peppers, the thin ones.
Yes.
Are they year round?
The shishitos, yes, are year round.
Oh, thank goodness.
Made them famous by making them available on a year-round basis. We are currently in the domestic season. Now, as you know, most chilies have an origin to like Mexican, Hispanic, South American, because spicy is really big from Mexico to Central America down to South America. Was introduced through the Southwest, through Tex-Mex, very Hispanic Latin. However, the irony of the shishito pepper is that it's actually a Japanese Asian variety. Now, these are smaller chili peppers. They're not that large. They have a thin wall. And the thing is that they're one of the mildest chilies. So it's not uncommon to go into a Japanese restaurant, a sushi bar, and it seems to be over the last few years the most popular thing to order. Typically, at one time, it was like you order edamame as an appetizer. That's so passe now. People order shishito peppers, which are basically grilled with sesame oil and soy sauce, and it's just enjoyed before you have your Japanese sushi bar experience there. And Melissa's is known for those on a year-round basis, but very different than a
Yeah.
hatch pepper.
You can fry them up and use them in stir fries super quick, easy,
Yes.
nice. I that and mushrooms, they and onions and those hatch onions. Oh my God, those are just like they're awesome. Linda, quick, I have a question for both of you. Diva Linda, you love your chocolate and good chocolate. What would you do with some good chocolate? And they have that chocolate sauce that they do with their crepes and
Oh,
some chili with it. What do you think? What would you do with chocolate and chili? I'm going to
oh
ask each
my
of you on this because I'm kind of suddenly
gosh.
craving it. It's your fault because you brought up chocolate, and I'm sitting with the chocolate flavored clean snack, so you know what's happening as soon as we
Might be
all hang
very
up.
interesting. Might be very interesting to have a small board or plate that has the shishitos done and then three ways to have chocolate. One would be to dip, one would be to pair, like a little cube, like really good chocolate. And what would be the third? I was thinking about that, but I think that goes in threes. I think that would be so it's a pairing. I like pairing stuff. And maybe the third would be actually a wine that would go with that. That would be, or a beverage. There's all sorts of wonderful Mexican beverages that I'm just beginning to learn about that are non-alcoholic and they're quite good, quite, quite good, or just regular Coke or whatever. But maybe a pairing, that would be fun. That would be a really fun thing. That's what
Mm.
I would do.
I would melt some of it and put some chili in it and do fondue.
Would be good. That'd be very good. With
Fondue,
this,
what? Yeah, we
oh,
could put a little tequila in that too if you wanted.
ooh,
And the chop,
ooh, that
well,
would be
yeah, I
good.
mean, I'm just saying because there, when you have spice like this, you can go to town. Like, what would you do, Robert?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked because, the hatch pepper in particular pairs so well with chocolate. If you go to our website, melissas.com, you put in hatch or hatch and chocolate, you're going to get quite a few recipes that pop up. We do an easy hatch chocolate chip cookie. Basically, you take chopped up hatch chilies after you roast them, put them in your favorite chocolate chip mix, maybe Toll House or, whatever your favorite
And
or
macadamia nut.
made one, and you have these chocolate spiced chocolate chip cookies. We also have a hatch pepper devil's food cake cookie. It can go into a brownie as well.
Oh,
Melissa also sells under our Hatch Essentials. We have the Hatch dark chocolate covered pecans. So, yeah, believe it or not,
that's really New Mexican because they do grow pecans out there.
yes. And we have a whole line of Hatch flavored pecans. We do them with a yogurt or just a green and a red spiced Hatch as well. But I don't think most people understand that you can take Hatch chilies in particular, you could take spice and mix it with chocolate. So, and Melissa's, and I think we spoke about this last time. Melissa does, I know you got a sample, but I don't know if Linda did a sample of our dipping chocolates that you can use whether
Oh, I didn't.
whether you could dip with you could dip them with strawberry. So we have the correct melting chocolate that pairs well with fruits. You could dip strawberries, you can dip bananas, your favorite fruit, put a little bit of hatch powder on top to make it spicy. And these are products that are usually popular around Mother's Day, Valentine's Day,
Hey,
New
fall
Year's,
is
and
coming, and I say fondue this fall. Let's fondue everything.
Fondue.
Let's
Yeah.
fondue it. Let's go to town and just, it's just fun. You can throw anything in there, but we want the chocolate and the spice. Come on. Angel food cake dipped in there. Come on. Yes. And the fondue, you
Yeah.
could do the crepes, those the big ones, and
Ah.
then you just take some of the fruit, heat them up a little bit, put that chocolate sauce on top of the little spice.
Mhm.
Okay, this is terrible. This is killing me. Okay, I'm gonna swap over. Linda and I also share a love of pickles. Linda, are you going to do some pickling? I know
Gonna
Nancy's
try.
dying to get into this right now.
Oh, I'm gonna. Yeah, I usually leave this stuff like that to my sister who really enjoys creating, and you give her something and she figures out what to do with it. But I love pickles so much, and I really like the ones that are homemade. I
Mhm.
prefer them to the canned or whatever. I like a little shot of spice in mine. So I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see what happens next time we talk.
Spicy pickles.
Spicy.
Put some hatch. Okay, can you go over this with us just real quick, Robert?
Sure.
For those of us who have never done this, because I know pickling onions is like a really big thing right now too. And now I'm wondering because of the shallots, can we pickle shallots?
Yes. So shallot is a refined onion. You can pickle any of the onions that you'd like. That's very popular. Obviously, cucumber is very popular. Watermelon rind popular. But Melissa does pickling spice. So this is the time of the year as we get through our crops that we're growing in our backyard. A lot of people like to do squash and onions and garlic. You know, garlic's another natural to pickle as well. The key, you can make your own pickling spices, but Melissa's making a step further. We've done this pickling spices for decades now. And, you know, there's not a big secret on the ingredients, though most people don't know. It's basically coriander seed, it's black peppercorns, it's cinnamon, it's allspice, there's dry bay leaf in there. You just follow the back in regards to the water and vinegar ratio to make the brine. And, you know, you can use it not only to pickle your favorite fruits and vegetables, but you know, you can also use it as a marinade for meats and veggies and stuff like that. And we were talking earlier, what is the thing that you're now pickling or trying to pickle?
Avocado.
Avocado.
That's what Nancy came up with as soon as she's like, it was weird because she was like, I just saw a thing on the internet on pickling avocados. And then this arrived. I said, well, here you go. But then I ate the avocados. I need to go get more. That's not a problem. That's not, I always eat the avocados, but it does sound interesting. So she's into doing that. So I think we'll be doing that because what mommy wants, she gets.
And she should.
Yes.
I like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. So yeah. Have you heard of anyone doing this or is this a new thing? I don't.
That would definitely be a new thing. You're right, Linda. If I had an avocado, I'm making guacamole. You have, if a lot of people in California and Florida, we grow avocados in our backyard. If you have an overabundance, and that's the whole idea of pickling, is that you have an overabundance of something that you're growing. You know, it makes a great foodie gift. We even have a pickling kit, a pickle kit, where we sell the pickling cucumbers with the pickling kit that you have there. We make it very easy, and it's so popular, especially in the late summer. And, you know, because you'll start seeing the stores starting to sell the little, you know, the bulge jars, the pickling jars. They're all on sale. You get your pickling spice. But, you know, if you have an overabundance, especially if you're in California, try it with the avocado. Why not? You know, avocado in California do not grow year round. So usually during the late spring and summer months, we don't have avocados until the fall.
Yeah,
So
and then through winter.
that's an idea, definitely an idea.
Okay, have you guys seen what people are doing with watermelon? With they freeze it and then they're putting like cream or coconut cream and they cut the watermelon in half or whatever melon and you put the cream on, you start digging and you make yourself balls of ice cream right there with the watermelon.
Yes. In fact, we just launched at Melissa's Produce is our social media tag. We've tried that on we do 3 different varieties of watermelon. We do yellow watermelon. We do, red watermelon like everybody else, but we do orange watermelon as well, where you basically cut a watermelon in half, scoop a little bit out of the middle, put cream in it, saran wrap it, put it in the freezer, and then take it out, and you make basically a watermelon sorbet. That's basically what you're doing. But Melissa's is doing this with some of the other fruit. And you can do this with different varieties of melons. Basically, when you cut them in half, you scoop out the seeds in the middle. It's a perfect area to put the cream already. You saran wrap it, put it in the freezer. You mix up the cream after it's frozen with the melon. You just made a melon ice cream. But this is the new one you'll be seeing probably this week because Melissa just did it. We're taking our pink pineapples. Yes, we did pink pineapples. Cut the core out on both sides, put cream, put in a saran wrap, pineapple sorbet ice cream. It's delicious. People are doing it now with the golden. I saw someone doing it with the golden pineapple ice cream sorbet. Delicious. Look into it. And that they're going to be doing this with every food. I can see them doing this with mangoes and papayas. What's next?
Passion fruit, I mean, you just freeze it and mix it up. Or, like I was thinking, you take grapes, throw them in a blender because they're seedless, right? Throw
Right.
them in a blender, you get like a nice little grapey kind of mixture.
Yeah.
Freeze it up a little. Okay. Throw some spice in there with the grapes. I'm going to hatch every.
I know.
With avocado and a little bit of salsa
Stop.
with bacon,
Yes.
or chorizo and olives.
Yeah. Chorizo and olives. That's interesting.
But you could take your polenta.
Yeah.
Okay. Take this, do slices. Keep it like a 1/4 inch thick, maybe 1/2 inch. Then you saute them on the side. Then you put a little bit of salsa on top. Maybe you could do a nice fried egg on top of it. A little bit of cheese, slice of, you get those sausage slicey things. You can make like polenta burgers with this, but the top will never stay. But an open face, like you just layer it.
Yeah.
Telling you,
Lisa,
it's good.
Hold up the polenta again there. So
Organic.
I failed to mention that the polenta is already like pre-cooked and ready to go. Basically, what you were explaining is that you slice it and you just need to warm it up.
Yeah. It's just sauteing it.
Yes.
So it has a crisp edge.
Because if you try to do polenta from scratch with cornmeal, it's a very timely process. And we make it really easy because you can actually slice it and put it on the grill. You just need a little cooking spray because you don't want it to stick. But basically, all you're doing on that hatch polenta is warming it back up to enjoy. Yeah.
And I mean, it's really good. Like if you do like some chilies or a chili and you heat this up and put it on like part of it, like as a stew, it's good. Okay. I'm officially really hungry and I would like some chocolate I just want everything now. So thank goodness I got the popcorn right here and you know what's happening. And then we've got our snacks and then Nancy can have her pickling spices. Diva Linda, you did a really great article giving people ideas of how to use the different products. So everyone, that link is in the episode notes. And my, anything else there, Diva Linda?
Boy, I'll tell you that this is my favorite time of year coming into fall. And I love all the fruits and vegetables and things that come with late season. So this is just a nice reminder of what there is, and an update on new stuff like Waterloupe that maybe
and plum bites. Plum bites, dude, the plum bites. The plum bites.
I mean, everything you sent was just unbelievable. It's just quality. What can I say? And they're just so careful about how they source this stuff. And sometimes it's domestic, sometimes it's international. It's quite, we ought to have a show just on how you source stuff because it's just amazing to me anyway. So there you are.
Very cool. And everyone, again, melissas.com is the website to go to. And when you go to your grocery store and if you do not see Melissa's there, kick up a fuss and warn them that Halloween is coming. Trick or treat. It's coming down the road. So thank you so much, Robert. Everyone, melissas.com also has recipes and recipe books to help you out with everything. So thanks so much, Robert. And thank you, Diva Linda.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio with travel writer Linda Kissam. Keep up with Linda at allingoodtaste.info. You can read her articles in Big Blend magazines and keep up with us at bigblendradio.com.